So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Margot Fly. I am the partnership manager here at Hearth. So I work with a lot of our large scale enterprise level customers, but I specifically do a lot of work with our restoration and disaster restoration accounts. So part of this presentation is really to run through all of the changes and things that we have seen specifically within the disaster restoration space, and how our accounts are using financing and the platform a little differently this year than even they were a couple years prior. So unless you've been, living under a rock, I'm sure you've all seen the different changes that have been taking place, over the last few years when it comes to this industry. Insurance deductibles have increased pretty significantly across the board, especially in states like Florida, Texas, California, states that are highly prone to natural disasters. Material cost has also been very volatile over the last few years. Labor has been harder to kind of like nail down. We've also seen a pretty significant increase in the competition within the disaster restoration space specifically. So as projects have become more and more competitive in various different industries, like folks who are just typically general contractors or traditional interior remodeling. We've seen those folks kind of bridge over and try to compete for the jobs and projects that are in the disaster restoration space as well. There has also been a very steep increase in accounts receivable for different businesses. So as folks and customers and homeowners have become more and more strapped for cash, they're taking longer and longer to pay out on projects that have already been completed. Insurance coverage, again, as I'm sure y'all have seen pretty predominantly in your areas, insurance coverage for various different things has gone down. Even with stuff like, Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, where there was significant amounts of flooding, there were less than 1% of folks who actually had any sort of coverage for that kind of restoration project. If we kind of like take a look at what that means for the consumer and the homeowner side, the federal government actually tracks how much cash savings and cash on hand any American has at any given time, and they have for decades. So what this chart shows is how much cash savings and cash availability U.S. citizens have at any given time. This is just looking at the last 20 years. So if we look at where we are right now in 2024, that is much more similar to, around like 2008 during the Great Recession, as far as like cash availability. The Wall Street Journal actually dug into this a little deeper and found that about 44% of Americans are not prepared or ready to have any expense that is even as low as $1,000. So that is showing the shift in how Americans are evaluating where they spend their money and how they can afford to spend their money to move forward with projects, especially ones in the restoration space that are not necessarily planned for. Where financing comes in. So traditionally with restoration companies and businesses that were using financing, predominantly, even as recently as like 4 or 5 years ago, that was only being used for people that didn't have any sort of insurance coverage in a specific situation. So folks who just, like mold remediation or something that had no, insurance whatsoever. What we are in the average amount back then that customers and homeowners were taking out within the restoration space was about $12,000 to $20,000. What we're seeing now from the financing side is the one of the most common amounts and ranges that people are taking out financing options for is about $3,500 to $5,000, which is an insurance deductible. So what that's kind of showing is the shift in economic behavior from folks even a couple of years ago to where they are now. People are using financing just to bridge the gap of getting the project started by using it to cover their deductibles. It's also obviously still very useful for things and situations where people don't have insurance coverage for a specific circumstance. Again, the flooding situation in North Carolina is a great example of that. Within the reconstruction space, a lot of times these are very high anxiety situations. They've got to go through this, unexpected process of having to do this reconstruction process. A lot of folks want to, if they have the ability, to have the space be, improve from where it was to begin with. It's like a little bit of like the silver lining of, hey, I had to go through all of this stuff, but at least I, got a few extra bells and whistles for my basement or my kitchen or whatever. And financing is very helpful for being able to, provide them with that option as well. Denied claims, which are currently much higher on the rise as well. Things that people think that they're going to get covered by insurance can, end up being something that is not. And so financing can step in and kind of cover that gap and provide them with some financial options for being able to still move forward. With accounts receivable, that has been something that has been very, very much on the rise, especially over the last 12 months. As folks have become a little bit more strapped for cash, they have less cash on hand. They've become less and less able to pay what's due on projects that have already been completed. So a lot of our restoration accounts are now using financing to go back and try to recoup some of those outstanding accounts receivable, especially prior to the end of the year. It's giving those customers a tool for being able to, pay for something monthly and also, pay down what is owed for their project that's already been done. Modernize did a study where they looked and compared businesses who were not offering financing versus ones who were, and like what that kind of meant for their bottom line. What they found is that typically companies that had financing as an option for their customers were closing about 17% more deals compared to the ones that didn't have it available. Not only that, but when customers had the ability and had access and options around like having a little bit more capital or funds to do a project with, they were spending on average about 30% more per ticket than those who didn't have financing as something that was an option. When people are less stressed about, their budget, when they know they have a little bit of wiggle room, especially again within the restoration space where it's like, I had to go through all of this like high anxiety stuff and it was unexpected. I might as well make it better, while I'm going through it. That tends to be a much higher amount than folks who don't have access to that option. They also asked the homeowners directly, like, what is important to you when it comes to choosing which contractor you work with? 70% of those folks said that having financing as an option greatly impacted who they went with and whether or not they did a project. Again, we're going back to this, like, folks have less cash on hand right now. They want to feel secure and comfortable in how they're making their financial decisions. And the contractors and businesses who are providing all of the different opportunities for them to be able to explore are the ones that they typically feel the most comfortable and confident spending their money with. Just to kind of take a look at what our environment looks like on our side, this is just a snapshot of some of the folks that work with us. A lot of these folks weren't even with us a couple years prior, and have shifted into using financing as something that is growing revenue with their business. Financing can be a little bit of a daunting topic for a lot of businesses, just because there has been such a shift economically in how people are moving forward with decisions, and the competition within the environment has become a lot tighter. We are working very closely with every account that comes to us to make this whole project as easy as possible. So we know financing can be a little bit confusing. A lot of people are stepping into this space for the first time, and haven't ever offered it in the history of their business. So we work with every single company to be able to roll this out to your entire sales staff. We have an easy app that they can download and use in the field, so that it's not something where they have to be tied to a computer. They have financing in the palm of their hand for any situation or any customer that's interested. We also have a very wide range of limits and amounts that people can request for financing. So, whether your customer is looking to do a project where they have no insurance coverage or need a large amount of funding, we can go up to 250K. The minimum amount that anybody can request for financing is around $1,000. The only two exceptions are Ohio and Georgia, which have slightly different lending minimums. But what we're seeing and what that means is that people are able to, no matter what amount they're looking for, have access to some of those options. And again, as we kind of touched base on earlier, more and more people are asking for much smaller amounts than you probably would think. So it's about, providing folks with all of the different options. If they want to, finance a $3,500 deductible, you have that ability to give them that avenue. There's no per loan fees. So a lot of financing options that are out there on the market charge what's called a dealer fee. So every time one of your customers uses or takes you up on a financing option, basically you would subsidize that with a percentage of the amount that they take out. With us, there is no dealer fee or per loan fee. You can use us once, you can use us 100 times. There's no additional cost. There's also built-in sales and marketing tools. So one of the most important things, obviously, is okay, you've started offering financing, now what? So we have tools built into the platform and the dashboard that are designed to help you kind of get the word out, market the fact that you have this available to your customers, and help and let them know that they have that option. We also have go-to-market strategies with our dedicated account management team, who will work directly with you and your company to help you get up and running with everything that you need. One of the most important things that we have launched over the last year and a half is a dedicated concierge financing team. So with that team, their job is to proactively connect with you and your customers on each loan application, and just help them facilitate and optimize their application so that it's the strongest possible, help go through any of their loan options, and kind of provide them with as much information and answer any questions that they have, so that they feel confident in understanding what their options are, and also moving forward with getting funded. How our application works is extremely simple. We have two modes of the dashboard. So whether you're in the office or you have a team in your office who is primarily running the financing kind of motion, we have a web application and dashboard, but we also have a mobile app. So a lot of folks, especially in the disaster restoration space where you're on site with customers in a lot of areas, we have a very easy mobile app that you can just pull up on your tablet or on your phone and provide financing right there to the customer in their home. It's a 1, 2, 3 step process. You just send the customer the financing link. They fill out an application that takes about a minute and a half. And we also have some 0% credit card options available to folks who qualify for a certain FICO score range. Once they complete the application, their project gets funded typically within 2 to 5 business days, and then you can go from there. One of the big differentiators with us as compared to a lot of the other options out on the market is our team works directly with you to help make this as successful as possible. We are very heavily invested in you being as successful with this platform as you can. So we will work directly with your sales and marketing team to train on all of the different options that you have available. To feel confident in how you are bringing up and implementing the financing conversation into your existing sales process. We'll do team training as often as you need. We also have dedicated account management that is there to specifically look at your business and everything that you need and keep an eye on it, check in, make sure everything is going okay. Again, the go-to-market strategies that we have available for launching everything, and then the concierge financing program that works directly with every single application to make sure that they're getting the best and strongest options available in the financing market.